Hello everyone, and welcome. We came out today just for the afternoon because we want to try and get that roof finished and get as much of the back wall done as we can. Anne's already starting to strip the logs. We got the fire lit. So why don't you come join us and see how much we can get done today. That's if we can stop forgetting things. Didn't have a great morning. Left the house to come out here, got part way here, had to turn around, go back home, forgot the insulin. Double check, do we have everything? Yes, we have everything. We get in the car, we drive back out here. As we're pulling up, we look back, Lucy doesn't have a jacket on. We're forgetting all kinds of stuff today. Let's hope I remember how to tie. We got a little bit of snow last week, and then it turned to freezing rain. So now there's a nice little crust of ice all over everything. It was unseasonably warm yesterday. I was hoping that it had warmed up enough to melt it all off, but apparently not. Same old, same old. Cut, tie, cut, tie. Only we really want to get this done today. So Anne is sitting back there just having a cup of hot chocolate. And then she's going to start cutting the pieces for me. Because she was trying to strip, and because of the freezing rain we got the other day, everything is frozen. Luckily, we don't need the 12-footers anymore, and we have a stockpile of logs that were a little shorter. Stuff that had a bad end on it, I couldn't use it for the roof, so I cut it shorter. Trees I brought down thinking they were long enough, and they're only like 10 feet or so, so I couldn't use them. But I can use them on the walls. And I can use them on this short piece of roof. So she's going to cut the pieces I need that are already stripped. And we're going to try and get this roof tied so that the next time we come out, I can bring the tarp and cover the roof. Once I do that, I can actually light the wood stove in here, even if the walls aren't up, and start melting the ice off the top. Obviously, we can't get any moss anymore. So once the walls are up, I'm just going to hang a tarp in front of them on the inside just to close it off and try and keep some of the heat in. That way I can remove a tarp, put on a few logs, put the tarp back up when we need it. Then in the spring, we can gather up some moss and stuff the holes. So here's that stockpile of logs we had. We threw a tarp over it so that it wouldn't get too full of ice and snow. So now we can pull some of these out and cut them to length. And try and get going on that roof. So now that the fire's down low, we cheated like last time. We brought a couple of sandwiches. Now we're going to toast those for lunch. Perfect. Oh, those are gonna be delicious. And hot. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, "Ah, poor Anne, she has to do the hard work with the saw while he's just playing with string." You have to remember that right now it's minus 13 degrees Celsius, which is about 4 degrees Fahrenheit, and she gets to wear gloves. I need my hands to be able to tie. And because she's cutting, I don't get a break where I get to wear my gloves and go cut some wood. But that's fine. Teamwork makes the dream work. Lucky for me, I always run warm. I don't get cold very easy, as long as I'm moving a little bit. So I tie a couple knots, go warm my hands by the fire. For a little added strength, I always try and tie 2 logs at the same time. So this log is tied to that log, this log is being tied to that log. Gives me a little extra strength. Last piece for the roof going in. I had to cut 3 strings and put them up over the top already, because I can't get my hand around to pull the string through. So Anne's going to slide it up, and I'm going to lift the strings over. Oh, hold on. This string has to go on that side. Okay, keep coming. Hold on. Okay. Can you hold it right here while I tie it? Once I get this knot tied, we're good, because it'll hold it. It's just to stop it from sliding back. Make sure it's even with this one. It is. Last knot, then the roof is done. Next time we come out, the tarp's going on. So now that the roof is all tied, it doesn't have to be super straight, but I'm hoping to cut and straighten out the front here a little bit. And done. So now the front is cut. It's not perfectly straight, but it's a lot better than it was. The back I'm not so worried about, but the front here, all the snow that's on top is going to be pulling on that front, so I didn't want it to be too jagged. So now, Anne has informed me that we don't have enough logs long enough to do the back wall. So I may have to go and search out a couple. Luckily, we don't need a ton for the back wall. We've got two. I think 2, maybe 3 more will have enough. I should be able to find that pretty easy. So we just brought out 3 more that should be long enough for the back wall. Anne's going to start prepping and stripping those while I start tiring the first 2 that we have. And hopefully we get the back wall done today. So here we go again. Hands are bare, getting ready to tie. Now, under each log, I've left a string or a piece of paracord so that I can tie the next one. So I will drape a piece here. And another piece here. Add my next log. And when I tie that one off, the string I just hung there is underneath. It'll be there to tie the next one on top. Now the paracord I had just put is still here, ready to tie the next one. The leftover piece, I cut off the one I just tied, is long enough that I can rest it there so that I can keep going, tying over and over again until we get to the top. Luckily, we don't have far to go. So now I move this paracord in place to tie the next one, and the piece I just cut off is actually too short for anything else, so I'm going to grab a leftover piece from the roof and drape it over top. So now the back wall is up, as high as I can get it. So next time we come out, I'm going to bring the tarp for the roof. And I have an old tarp at home that we used it last year, and it's got a big rip in it. So I'm going to try and cut a chunk out of that and use it to cover the back wall. And if I can get pieces big enough, I'll use it to cover the inside of the two side walls. That way, next time we come out, if I can get those up, I can get the stove going in here and melt some of the ice and snow off this roof. And then the following time we come out, I might be able to hang a tarp off the front wall, bring the cots, and actually sleep in here. I can't wait to try that. That is going to be amazing. I was standing back, looking at the roof, and I'm not sure if it was me having a stroke of genius or just me having a stroke, but I came up with an idea. I cut two small branches. I'm tying them on in a V shape, so that when we come back and I put the tarp over top, I'm hoping these create just enough of a bubble in the tarp that as the snow melts, once the tarp is on, it'll deflect so that it doesn't come straight at the stovepipe. Hi. See? You turn around. Oh, cool. I'm hoping that once I put the tarp on, every time it snows after that, when I light a fire in here, that'll deflect the water away from coming into the stovepipe. Hopefully. Or at least deflect most of it. I'm going to tighten this up, and then when we put the tarp on, I guess we'll find out if it was a stroke or a stroke of genius. So now that I've got that there, when we put the tarp on, I'm going to tie it at the top. I'll leave the bottom slack for now. And then what I'll do is figure out exactly where my stovepipe's going to be and come back a short bit ways. I'll put a crossbar here and close off this part here just to make it a little more solid, to help hold up the tarp at this end. But there we have it. We have a roof. Well, folks, Roof is done. Back wall's done. We're just going to spend a little bit of time here cutting up the scrap pieces into firewood. And then we're going to call it a day. So if you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see more of it, hit the subscribe button. And if you're going to do that, you may as well hit the notification bell. It'll let you know whenever we put out a new video. Thanks for watching. We love having you along, and we'll see you on the next one.